Cheryl Dorsey, and I'm the president of Echoing Green and a 1992 Echoing Green Fellow. I think it's crystal clear that Echoing Green truly knows how to throw a party, but we also do another thing very well. We identify some of the world's best next generation social innovators, and that's who we're here tonight to celebrate, to support, and to cheer on as we move into this speed pitch.
And I do want to get right to it because you're going to hear some amazing pitches. And the way it's going to work is that we're going to have, I guess, 3 groups of people come up and make really fast. They got 1 minute to wow you.
After 3 years of teaching high school math, I left the classroom to build the software tools I wish I had had as a teacher. Tools that would allow me to make sense of the volumes of student information I had at my fingertips. My principal told me I needed to be data-driven. But most days, I felt data drowning. It turns out I wasn't alone. Today, education reform centers around high-stakes tests to measure student progress and hold teachers accountable for results. But teachers don't have the tools they need to track daily student progress along the way and course correct to make sure they meet end-of-year goals. So what to do about it? At Drop the Chalk, our first software product is called Kickboard, to allow teachers to stay afloat instead of drowning in all of that data. It's affordable, easy to use, and we're currently piloting it in 15 New Orleans schools. Our goal is to fundamentally change the way teachers measure their own impact.
My son Kai was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome 3 years ago. My first thought was, how is he able to make his living after my death? Kai is my answer. We are the only company in Japan to leverage the power of Asperger's syndrome and place them in the workplace. They often excel in analyzing data, doing repetitive tasks, and keeping rules. So in our program, our trainees can experience a bookkeeper or assistant of procurement divisions, marketing researchers, as well as software testers while learning social and communication skills. So far, we have 21 people in our training, and 15 people are placed in a job. I want to see my son and the other millions of people with Asperger's realize their productive life through our program. Thank you.
When I was 17, my whole ambition in life was to make $400 to support my younger siblings and my aging father. Then I got a scholarship to study abroad. That scholarship was a spark in my life, which transformed my ambitions from asking, how can I support my family, to how can I take care of my country? There are many bright young Afghans who need that spark. More than 3 decades of war have destroyed Afghanistan's human capital. When the international community leaves, Afghanistan's new generation needs to step up, take responsibility, and lead their country.
The Afghan Scholars Initiative identifies bright young Afghans and places them in a 1-year tutorial program where they use netbooks to work online with tutors in the US to build critical thinking and communication skills. From there, we place them with our partner high schools and colleges in the US where they start their own projects.
$400. That shouldn't be any young leader's ambition. Let's give them something better.
From Angola Prison, this is Michael. I will deeply appreciate your time. I had such a great life and made one mistake. God had blessed me with a lovely family, and I'd like to have that back. I'm hopeful that I'll find something in my DA file. I'm very worthy and deserving of a second chance.
These are letters from Louisiana prisoners who need help, some even scribbled on brown paper towels. Louisiana incarcerates more people than any country in the nation, or any state in the country, and a country that incarcerates more people than any other country in the world. Currently, there are no regular legal services for these prisoners, either while they're incarcerated or after their release. Legal assistance that they're entitled to under the law. Legal assistance that my own brother could have used.
We have a radical proposal that transforms and restructures the way that attorneys work together for criminal justice accountability. We work within a cooperative for a population that is otherwise ignored. Our proposal works for New Orleans and for Louisiana and can work beyond. Thank you.
Reach Incorporated hires and trains struggling adolescent readers to tutor in elementary schools. Reach works by bringing together teens like Dejan, who, When we met him, was among the 87% of DC public school students that enter ninth grade reading below grade level. And students like Willie, a rambunctious second grader with a penchant for driving teachers nuts. Each week, Dejan spends 2 days in training and 2 days tutoring Willie. His own academic skills fortified through the teaching process. At the same time, Willie is learning to love reading, returning from winter break with this Curious George book and begging me to let him read it with his tutor. In only 6 months, Dejan's D's have become B's, and through his skilled teaching, Willie's fluency and comprehension skills have improved dramatically. Reach creates readers. Reach creates leaders. And by lifting two populations through a single relationship, Reach is efficiently and effectively attacking America's literacy crisis.
Imagine if even 10% of the world's 92 million micro borrowers had access to more than a basic loan to grow their businesses. For example, Griselda Flores, a woman who runs a small community clinic in a rural area outside of Mexico City, lacked the capital and the guidance to grow her business. Through our innovative online micro-investment platform, Griselda was able to finance the purchase of an ultrasound machine, which now allows her to service up to 15 women a month who otherwise had no access to affordable prenatal care.
Inventure partners with micro-entrepreneurs such as Griselda's by providing a groundbreaking revenue-sharing product coupled with strategic guidance. We select entrepreneurs that are committed to reinvesting back into their local communities, and we pair these entrepreneurs with our online users to provide investments up to $10,000. Our unique goal is to empower existing micro-entrepreneurs around the world, such as Griselda's, to realize their vision, create jobs for others, and help lift their communities out of poverty.
Growing up, I saw family and friends jailed for drug use and for schoolyard fights. When my classmates at Harvard did similar things, they were given support and second chances. This led me to work organizing families of incarcerated youth, where I met Alan Feaster. I never met his son, Darrell. After months of 23-hour-a-day isolation in a California youth prison, Darrell committed suicide. Although Alan lost his son, he never gave up on youth in California. He joined the campaign to close California's youth prisons and replace them with real rehabilitation centers. Almost no one believed we could do this, but we closed not one, but 4 youth prisons and won critical supports for families. Justice for Families will galvanize a national bipartisan coalition of families to support one another and to win programs that actually bring youth back to the families that many people have written off. We'll provide families with the support and the megaphone they need to ensure that every child is given a second chance. Thank you.
In poor communities in Africa, we are wasting world-class entrepreneurial talent that should be driving the continent's development. I have here an internationally benchmarked cognitive test taken by an entrepreneur by the name of Nketsi Morosi when he applied to the Awetu project. His score on this test placed him in the top 1% of cognitive ability in the world. But when he applied to Awetu, he was running a single taxi in a Johannesburg slum. 4 months later, we've invested in him, he's in our incubator, and he's already generated revenues of $15,000 in an online IT retailer and is employing 2 people. We have a number of similar success stories, but there are thousands of entrepreneurs across Africa like Nketsi who are constrained simply by a lack of formal training and inadequate access to resources. The Awetu project aims to identify them and to provide them with the training and resources they require so that they can lead Africa's development. Thank you.
As a teacher in a slum school in Bangalore, I spent evenings listening to my students' stories in their homes. The abuses they experienced haunted me, especially since they were preventable. When I discovered a brothel where parents sold children as slaves, the urgency to reach both my students and their illiterate parents heightened. At the same time, I saw how Bollywood music penetrated hearts and minds and caused even my most abused students to come alive. So, I built a team of Bollywood musicians to make music kits that teach human rights to children. Imagine Ronnie, a young girl who is rescued from a brothel. She learns Bollywood songs about her rights that resonate deeply. Empowered as a change agent, Ronnie stands up for her rights and shares these songs with her peers. One day, Ronnie will teach these songs to her own children, breaking the cycle of generational slavery with the help of Bollywood music.
Together, these bags hold 1 pound of carbon dioxide. Last year, human civilization threatened our world's poorest people by releasing enough of these bags to fill Yankee Stadium 26 million times. We launched Carbon Lighthouse to stop climate change.
We fell in love with engineering and environmentalism as kindergarten friends hiking in Yosemite. Last summer, we created the world's first and only service that makes it profitable for organizations to become carbon-free.
We used this service to help an Oakland, California school eliminate its entire carbon footprint and took more than 100,000 measurements to show that the school is saving $2,700 a year and 103,000 pounds of carbon annually. That's 50 textbooks and the equivalent of driving all 200 students to school in electric cars.
We began with the bodega up the block. Today, we're contracted with 152 schools and businesses in California and Oregon. With your help, we will reach thousands of institutions and transform the way people think about climate change from an issue to an opportunity. Together, we can take out our planet's trash.
These are $1,000. $1,000 is what a patient has to pay in Mexico per year to get diabetes care. Do you know what percentage of the population can afford this price? No more than 10%. Diabetes is a catastrophe in Mexico. There are more than 12 million people with diabetes, and it is now the #1 cause of death. But the real catastrophe is that although no one is immune to diabetes, low-income people are hit the hardest. Because care is so expensive and inconvenient, more than 95% of these patients are not in control, and more than 30% already show complications. But this will change very soon with Clínicas del Azúcar. Clínicas del Azúcar is a revolutionary new chain of low-cost one-stop shops for diabetes care in Mexico, introducing evidence-based algorithms, low-cost diagnostics, and a sophisticated payment structure to reduce the cost from $1,000 to only $200. With this, we can provide access to almost all of the population. We can prevent more than 20,000 amputations per year, or 20,000 patients that can keep their jobs. With this, we can save more than 30,000 lives every year. Thank you.
I spent 8 years sitting in criminal trial courts across America and wrote an award-winning book. What fascinated me is how smart, talented, engaged legal professionals could be making the same mistake over and over again and not realize that anything is missing. Like the public defender, who I saw plead 48 people guilty in one day, and he didn't know their names, much less their cases. Or the prosecutor, who kept on putting cases aside, and he had no idea he hadn't prosecuted a domestic violence case in 21 years. My idea is to create a justice index which would measure and compare how counties across America perform basic legal services so that patterns of malfeasance and civil liberties violations can be addressed. We measure everything in America, our healthcare system, our education system. We measure everything in sports, everything except the courts. My organization will reach into the heart of counties across America and ask, how are we doing? We will give them a yardstick to see how they compare, and then we will give them the tools to see what is going on there, and then to fix their courts so we can revolutionize justice all across America.
If any of us need to see a doctor tonight, NYU Medical Center is a 10-minute drive away. But for people like Philip, our friend, in rural Liberia, it's a 17-hour walk to get to the hospital.
Liberia is my native country. In returning home as a physician after escaping the Civil War, I realized that we needed a radically different strategy to be able to care for the people in our remote villages. People like Philip shouldn't be expected to walk impossible distances to see doctors. So we're bringing house calls back. We train local villagers themselves to be the health providers. People like Philip walk door to door to bring life-saving treatment into the homes of their neighbors.
By bringing treatment closer to homes, our frontline health workers are providing care in villages that experts said couldn't be reached.
And our model could save millions of lives. The pills in this jar represent the number of patients I could see as a doctor in 1 week. For the same cost, a team of frontline health workers could see 15 times as many patients, and they get better results.
This frontline health workforce will revolutionize village health so people no longer die just because they live too far from a doctor. Thank you.
Thanks to all of our finalists. I wish there were a way that all of you could win. Those pitches were amazing.